Hello, my name is William, and welcome to Dragon X Dominion, a realm where dragon legends are forged in fire, honor, and forgotten worlds. I will be your narrator and guide through these epic lands. If you crave powerful stories, legendary dragons, and wars that echo through eternity, then you found your home, ladies and gentlemen. So subscribe, and claim your place among these legends.
The medical scanner beeped 3 times before Lena Cross realized something was actually wrong. She'd been staring at the same supply requisition form for 20 minutes, her mind wandering to whether the mess hall would have anything edible for dinner. Outpost 7 wasn't exactly known for its culinary excellence. The beeping grew more insistent. Lena pushed away from her desk and walked to the scanner display. An incoming shuttle marked as Priority Medical. Her stomach tightened. Priority Medical usually meant someone was dying, and she was the only doctor within 3-star systems. The scanner showed 2 life signs aboard, but there was something else. A third signature that the computer couldn't quite classify. She hit the communication panel. "This is Dr. Cross. I'm reading your priority tag. What's the situation?" Static crackled before a voice came through, rough and strained. "Doctor, my name is Vel. My mate Risha is injured, but that's not why we're here. We need help with our egg. It's hatching early, please." Lena's hand froze over the controls. An egg. She pulled up the shuttle's registration, Drathic vessel. Her mind raced through everything she knew about the Drathic, which wasn't much. Reptilian species, warrior culture, and they hatched from eggs that could breathe fire. "How early are we talking?" Lena asked. 2 cycles early. The war, the evacuation, the stress. Please, doctor, we have nowhere else to go. Lena closed her eyes. Every regulation in the book said she should refuse. The station wasn't equipped for xenobiology. She wasn't trained for this. But the desperation in Vel's voice cut through every protocol she'd ever memorized. "Bay 3, I'll meet you there." She grabbed her medical kit and ran. The corridors of Outpost 7 were quiet this time of cycle. Most of the crew was either sleeping or pretending to work. Lena's boots echoed against the metal floors as she sprinted toward the docking bays. Bay 3's doors hissed open just as the Drathic shuttle touched down. It was a small vessel, scarred and patched from what looked like weapons fire. The landing ramp descended with a grinding sound that suggested the hydraulics were barely functional. Vel emerged first. He was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with dark green scales that caught the harsh bay lights. He wore armor that had seen better days, dented and scorched. But it was his eyes that stopped Lena. They weren't the eyes of a fearsome warrior. They were the eyes of a terrified father. "Dr. Cross," his voice was quieter now, almost breaking. "That's me. Where's your mate?" Vel turned and disappeared back into the shuttle. When he returned, he was supporting Risha, who was smaller but still imposing. Her scales were lighter, a pale green that reminded Lena of spring leaves. She had a gash across her side, poorly bandaged, and she was cradling something wrapped in thermal blankets. "The egg." "Bring her to the medical bay," Lena said, pushing down her fear. "And bring the egg." They moved through the station quickly. Lena was grateful they didn't encounter anyone else. She could already imagine Commander Roberts' face if he knew she was bringing a Drathic family into the medical facilities. Regulations existed for reasons, he'd say. Safety protocols weren't suggestions. But regulations didn't account for the sound Risha made when she stumbled, a whimper of pure pain mixed with maternal terror as she clutched the egg tighter. The medical bay doors sealed behind them. Lena helped Risha onto a bed and immediately began scanning her injury. The wound was deep but not life-threatening. She could handle this, but the egg was another matter entirely. "Tell me everything," Lena said as she worked on cleaning Risha's wound. "How long until hatching? What do I need to know?" Vel unwrapped the egg carefully. It was larger than Lena expected, about the size of a small watermelon with a surface that seemed to shimmer between brown and gold. But what caught her attention were the cracks. Thin lines spider webbing across the shell, and from those cracks, tiny wisps of smoke were emerging. "Normally we have specialists," Vel said. Hatching attendants who know the signs, who can help if something goes wrong, but they're all gone. Our world, the war, everything. He stopped, his voice catching. The egg should have 2 more cycles. The hatchling needs time to develop its inner flame if it hatches now. It might not survive, Lena finished. Risha made a sound that needed no translation. It was the sound of a mother facing the possibility of losing her child. Lena finished bandaging Risha's wound and turned her full attention to the egg. She pulled up everything the station's database had on Drathic biology, which amounted to about 3 paragraphs and a handful of grainy images. Not nearly enough. The egg suddenly shifted. All 3 of them froze. A crack appeared, wider than the others, running from top to bottom. Heat radiated from it, enough that Lena had to step back. The temperature in the medical bay was rising rapidly. "It's happening," Vel whispered. More cracks appeared, spreading like lightning across the shell. Tiny flames began to lick out from the gaps, small but intense. Lena's fire suppression instincts screamed at her to activate the bay's safety systems, but she held back. Those flames might be the only thing keeping the hatchling alive. The egg rocked violently. Risha tried to sit up, but she was too weak. Vel reached for the egg, but Lena saw his hands shaking. "Let me," Lena said. She didn't know why she said it. She had no training for this, no experience, but something in her knew that hesitation would be worse than ignorance. Lena pulled on thermal gloves and carefully steadied the egg as it shook. The heat was incredible, even through the protective material. The shell began to break apart in larger chunks now, falling away to reveal something moving inside. With a final crack that sounded like thunder in the small bay, the egg split completely open. Flames shot outward, small but fierce. Lena ducked instinctively, feeling the heat wash over her head. Equipment on the nearby table started to smoke. And then she heard it, a sound so small and pitiful that it cut through everything else. Mewling like a kitten, but with a strange chirping quality. Lena looked down. There among the broken shell pieces and dying flames was the smallest dragon she could have imagined. No bigger than a house cat, with scales that were almost translucent in the harsh medical lights. Its eyes were still closed, its wings nothing more than tiny flaps against its sides. It was shivering. A fire-breathing creature born from flames, and it was cold. Lena's medical training kicked in before conscious thought. Hypothermia. The premature hatching meant its internal systems weren't ready. It needed warmth, and not just any warmth. She scooped up the hatchling, feeling its tiny body trembling against her palms. It was surprisingly light, delicate in a way that seemed impossible for a species known for breathing fire. The dragon baby made that mewling sound again, and something in Lena's chest cracked open just like the egg had. "I've got you," she whispered. "I've got you." The dragon baby's body. Temperature was dropping. Lena watched the medical scanner's readings with growing alarm as the numbers fell lower than what her research suggested was safe for any Drathic, even a newborn. The tiny creature in her arms continued to shiver, its translucent scales rippling with each tremor. Vel and Risha were watching her with desperate eyes. Risha had managed to sit up despite her injury, her hand reaching toward her baby but stopping short, as if afraid to touch. "In normal hatching, what happens next?" Lena asked, her eyes never leaving the hatchling. "The attendants wrap them in warming stones," Vel said. "Heat from deep earth. The hatchling absorbs it, uses it to ignite their inner flame. Without that..." His voice trailed off. Lena's mind raced. She didn't have warming stones. The station's heating systems were designed for humans and most carbon-based life, not creatures that needed temperatures high enough to sustain internal fire. She pulled up the database again, scrolling frantically through the limited information. There, one line, a single sentence that most xenobiologists had dismissed as folklore. Drathic hatchlings require constant physical contact for neural development during first cycle. Physical contact, not just heat, contact. "How injured are you?" Lena asked Risha. "Can you hold your baby?" Risha tried to move and gasped in pain. The wound was worse than Lena had initially thought. The Drathic woman was running a fever, her body fighting infection. She couldn't provide the care the hatchling needed, not in this condition. Vel stepped forward. I can. But Lena saw his hands. They were steady now, but there was something else. Burn marks, recent ones, covering his palms and forearms. He'd been fighting, probably using his own fire breath in battle. His internal temperature would be unstable, possibly dangerous for a fragile hatchling. I have another idea, Lena said quietly, but it breaks about 15 different regulations. We're already past regulations, Vel said. Our people's laws, yours, the Galactic Accords, all of it means nothing if our child dies. Lena looked down at the tiny dragon. Its eyes were still closed, but its mouth had opened slightly, revealing the smallest fangs she'd ever seen. It made another mewling sound, weaker this time. She made her decision. I'm taking the baby to my quarters. My body temperature isn't as high as yours, but it's stable. And I can monitor vitals there just as well as here. She turned to Vel. I need you to stay with Risha. She needs medical care and the bay is equipped for that. But I need your permission. I'm asking to take your child. The silence that followed felt eternal. Lena watched emotions flicker across Vel's scaled face. Fear, doubt, and then something else, hope. You would do this? Risha's voice was barely a whisper. Risk your safety, your position here for a child that isn't your species. I'm a doctor, Lena said simply. This baby needs help, that's all that matters. Vel reached out and gently touched the hatchling's head with one clawed finger. The baby didn't react. In our culture there is a word, Kethara. It means one who guards the flame when the hearth is cold. You are our child's Kethara, Dr. Cross. Lena nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She grabbed thermal blankets from the supply cabinet, the kind used for extreme cold exposure cases. She wrapped the dragon baby carefully, leaving just its small snout exposed. The hatchling's shivering had intensified. I'll check in every hour, Lena said, if anything changes. We trust you, Risha said, and the weight of those words settled over Lena like a physical thing. The corridors were still empty as Lena hurried to her quarters. She held the bundled hatchling close to her chest, feeling its rapid heartbeat against her own. Her quarters were small, just a bedroom and tiny bathroom, but they were warm and private. She sealed the door and sat on her bed, unsure what to do next. The hatchling's shivering hadn't stopped. If anything, it had gotten worse. Lena unwrapped the blankets and made another decision that would have gotten her fired on any other station. She pulled off her jacket and shirt, leaving just a thin undershirt. Then she carefully placed the dragon baby against her bare skin, rewrapping them both in the blankets. The hatchling's scales were smooth and cool, almost like touching river stones. For a moment, nothing happened. Lena felt ridiculous, sitting half-dressed with an alien infant pressed against her chest. But then the hatchling shifted. Its tiny head turned, pressing against her collarbone. The shivering began to slow. Lena started to hum. She didn't know why. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe she'd read somewhere that infants responded to sound. She hummed an old song her mother used to sing, something about stars and sailing. The dragon baby's breathing began to even out. Its heart rate was still fast, but no longer panicked. Lena adjusted her position, making sure the blankets covered them both completely, trapping her body heat around the tiny creature. Her door chime sounded. Lena's heart jumped. Who is it? Commander Roberts. The voice was clipped and formal. I need to speak with you about an unauthorized docking in Bay 3. Of course, security had flagged the Drathic shuttle. Lena looked down at the bundle against her chest. The hatchling had finally stopped shivering. Its breathing was soft and steady. She couldn't move, couldn't risk disrupting the fragile stability she'd just achieved. I'm not available right now, Commander. This isn't a request, Doctor. I'm coming in. The door began to override. Lena pulled the blankets tighter, her heart racing. The door slid open, and Commander Roberts stepped inside, his face set in its usual stern expression. He looked at Lena, looked at the bundle of blankets. His eyes widened. Dr. Cross, what exactly do you have there? Before Lena could answer, the hatchling stirred. Its tiny nose twitched, its whole body tensed. Lena knew what was coming. She'd read about it in those 3 paragraphs of research. First sneeze reflex. Usually happens in the first few hours, completely involuntary. Commander, you need to step back, Lena said urgently. I'm not going anywhere until you explain what. The dragon baby sneezed. It was the smallest sneeze Lena had ever heard, almost cute in its tininess. But what came out wasn't cute at all. A burst of flame, no bigger than a candle's worth, shot out from the hatchling's nose and across the room. It hit Commander Roberts' data pad directly. The device melted, plastic and metal running together like wax. Roberts stared at the ruined equipment in his hands, his face going through several shades of red. The hatchling, startled by its own sneeze, began to cry. The sound was heartbreaking, a tiny wail that spoke of fear and confusion. Lena ignored Roberts completely. She curled around the dragon baby, making soft, soothing sounds, rocking gently. The hatchling's crying softened, turning back into small mules. Its nose twitched again, and Lena held her breath, but no more flames came. When she finally looked up, Roberts was still standing there, holding his melted data pad, staring at them both with an expression she couldn't quite read. Commander, Lena said quietly, I can explain. Commander Roberts set the melted data pad on Lena's desk with deliberate care. His jaw worked silently for a moment, and Lena prepared herself for the lecture. But what came out wasn't anger. Is that a Drathic infant? Yes, sir. In your quarters? Yes, sir. Against every station regulation regarding xenobiological quarantine. Yes, sir. Roberts dragged a hand across his face. Dr. Cross, I have 37 different protocols I should be following right now, starting with immediate removal of that creature and ending with your suspension pending review. Do you understand that? The hatchling made a soft sound against Lena's chest, still wrapped in blankets. Its nose twitched again, and both Lena and Roberts tensed, but no flames appeared. I understand, Commander, but this baby will die if I follow those protocols. Its internal temperature regulation isn't developed. It needs constant warmth and contact. The parents are both injured. I'm the only option. You're a human doctor, not a xenobiologist. You have no training for this. No training is better than a dead infant. Roberts opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. He walked to Lena's small window and stared out at the star field beyond. The silence stretched between them. My daughter would have been about your age now, Roberts said finally. Ship accident, faulty life support, she was 6. Lena hadn't known. Roberts never talked about his past. Commander, I'm sorry. I followed protocols that day, did everything by the book, waited for the proper authorities to arrive before attempting rescue. By the time they gave clearance, it was too late. He turned back to face her. I've spent 20 years wondering if breaking those rules might have saved her. The hatchling shifted, pressing its small head more firmly against Lena's collarbone. She could feel its heartbeat, rapid but steady. How long does it need constant care? Roberts asked. The database says first cycle. That's about a week in human time. Roberts nodded slowly. Then you have a week, but there are conditions. You wear a locator beacon at all times. You report any incidents immediately. And if the baby becomes a danger to the station, we evacuate it. Non-negotiable. Understood, thank you, Commander. Roberts moved toward the door, then paused. What are you calling it? Lena looked down at the tiny dragon. She hadn't thought about names. I don't know. Do Drathic name their children immediately? I'll ask the parents. They're in medical, correct? Yes, and Commander, Risha needs proper treatment for her wound. It's infected. I'll handle it. Robert stepped through the door, then turned back one more time. Dr. Cross, that was the first smile I've seen on your face since you arrived at this station 6 months ago. Don't let me regret this. The door sealed, leaving Lena alone with the hatchling. She carefully adjusted the blankets and lay back on her bed, keeping the baby secure against her chest. Within minutes, she felt its breathing slow into what she hoped was sleep. Her communicator buzzed softly. She answered it with one hand, keeping the other wrapped protectively around the dragon. "Doc, it's Yoshi." Her assistant's voice was worried. "I just heard from security. Is it true? Do you have a Drathic baby in your quarters?" "News travels fast. Doc, this is crazy, even for you. Yoshi, I need you to pull everything we have on Drathic infant development. Medical journals, cultural databases, even folklore. Anything that might help." There was a pause. "You're serious about this?" "Completely." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay, I'm on it. But Doc, people are already talking, and not everyone is going to be as understanding as the commander apparently was." As if to prove his point, Lena's door chime sounded again. She tensed, but the hatchling didn't wake. "Who is it?" "Carla Chen, from engineering. Can I come in?" Lena didn't know Carla well. They'd exchanged pleasantries in the mess hall a few times, nothing more. "It's not a great time." "I know about the baby. I have something for you." Lena carefully sat up, making sure the hatchling was secure. "Come in." The door opened, and Carla entered carrying what looked like a bundle of silver fabric. She was young, maybe 25, with oil stains on her hands and a friendly smile that seemed permanently fixed to her face. "I heard what happened with the commander's data pad," Carla said. "Figured you might need this." She held out the fabric. "It's a fire-resistant blanket. We use them in engineering for welding work. Should handle anything your little friend there can put out." Lena took the blanket with her free hand. "Thank you, I don't know what to say." "Don't have to say anything. I just think what you're doing is amazing. We've all heard stories about the Drathic, scary stuff mostly. But a baby is a baby, right? Doesn't matter what species." The hatchling chose that moment to wake. Its eyes opened for the first time, and Lena caught her breath. They were golden, like molten metal, with vertical slits for pupils. They focused on her face with an intensity that seemed impossible for something so newly born. Carla leaned closer. "Oh wow, it's actually kind of beautiful." The hatchling's mouth opened, revealing those tiny fangs. Then it made a sound, softer than before, almost like a purr. Its small body relaxed against Lena's chest. "I think it likes you," Carla said. Lena felt something warm spread through her chest, something she'd never felt before. Protective, fierce, maternal. "Its name is Pip," she said, surprising herself. "Short for Pippin, small but important." "Pip," Carla repeated. "I like it. Does the baby need anything else? I could modify some equipment, make it safer for fire breathing." "Actually, yes. I need a way to warm bottles. Standard equipment might not get hot enough for Drathic metabolism." "I can rig something up. Give me a few hours." After Carla left, Lena carefully unwrapped Pip and swaddled the baby in the fire-resistant blanket. Pip's scales caught the light, shimmering with colors she hadn't noticed before. Browns and golds, but also hints of deep red, like embers in a dying fire. Pip's nose twitched. Lena braced herself. The sneeze that came was bigger this time. Flames shot across the room, hitting her dresser. The wood charred instantly, smoke curling up from the blackened surface. Station alarms began to wail, piercing and loud. Pip started crying, frightened by the noise and the smell of smoke. Lena pulled the baby close, wrapping the fire-resistant blanket around them both. She stood and grabbed her communicator as her door burst open. Two security officers stood there, weapons drawn. Behind them, a crowd had gathered. Humans, aliens, all staring into her quarters with expressions ranging from fear to fascination. "Stand down," Lena said firmly. "The situation is under control." "That creature just set fire to station property," one officer said. "We have orders to contain it." Pip wailed louder, and Lena felt the baby's body heat up against her chest. Another sneeze was building. She could feel it. "If you don't lower those weapons and back away, this baby is going to sneeze again." and I can't predict where the flames will go when it's scared." The officers hesitated. The crowd behind them pressed closer, trying to see. Then a voice cut through the chaos. "Everyone step back now." Vel pushed through the crowd, massive and imposing. He was still wearing his battered armor, still looked like he could tear through the security team without effort. But his eyes were on Pip, soft with concern. He looked at Lena. "May I?" Lena understood. She carefully unwrapped Pip just enough for Vel to see his child. The baby dragon's crying had quieted to hiccuping whimpers. Vel began to sing. The sound was deep and resonant in a language Lena didn't recognize, but the effect was immediate. Pip's golden eyes focused on Vel's face. The baby's body temperature began to drop back to normal levels. The security officers lowered their weapons. The crowd watched in silence as a father sang to his child, and a human doctor held them both safe. The station council meeting had been going for 2 hours, and Lena could feel every minute of it. She sat in the small conference room with Pip sleeping in a sling against her chest, the fire-resistant blanket wrapped around them both. Commander Roberts sat at the head of the table. Yoshi stood behind Lena, a silent show of support. Around the table, 8 council members representing the station's various departments argued in circles. "This is unprecedented," said Councilor Patel from Operations. "We're a research and trading outpost, not a nursery for dangerous xenobiological specimens." "It's a baby, not a specimen," Lena said quietly. "A baby that's already caused 2 fire incidents in less than 24 hours, Patel countered. "What happens when it gets bigger, stronger? What happens when it can breathe real fire instead of just sneezing?" Yoshi stepped forward, holding a data pad. "I've been analyzing Pip's biological readings. The baby's neural development is accelerating beyond normal Drathic parameters. I believe it's because of Dr. Cross's constant care. Human pheromones, heartbeat patterns, physical contact, they're all contributing to enhanced growth." "Enhanced growth," another counselor said, "so it'll become dangerous faster." "Or become more intelligent faster," Yoshi argued. "The data suggests increased cognitive development, not just physical." A message came through on the room's main display. Commander Roberts read it, his expression darkening. "That's Galactic Refugee Authority. They're demanding we transfer the Drathic family to a containment facility on Station Vega 9. Immediately." Lena's arms tightened around Pip. "Vega 9 is a processing center. They keep refugees in holding cells for months. Pip won't survive that. The baby needs constant care, warmth, contact." "Then perhaps the parents should provide that care," Patel said. "Risha is still recovering from her injuries. Vel can't provide the stable temperature regulation Pip needs. I've shown you the medical data. Separation right now would be fatal." Roberts leaned back in his chair. "The council needs to vote. Either we comply with GRA demands, or we formally deny their request and accept responsibility for the Drathic family's care. All in favor of transfer." 4 hands went up. Lena's heart sank. "All opposed." 3 hands, a tie. The decision fell to Roberts as the tiebreaker. The commander looked at Pip, sleeping peacefully against Lena's chest. Then he looked at Lena herself, and she saw something in his eyes. Memory, regret, decision. "We deny the transfer request. The Drathic family remains under Outpost 7's protection." Patel stood abruptly. "This is a mistake. I'm filing a formal complaint with Galactic Command." "That's your right," Roberts said. "Meeting adjourned." The council members filed out, some angry, some thoughtful. Yoshi squeezed Lena's shoulder before leaving. When the room was empty except for her and Roberts, Lena finally allowed herself to breathe. "Thank you," she said. "Don't thank me yet. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Patel isn't wrong about the dangers, even if his methods are questionable." Pip stirred, making small chirping sounds. Roberts moved closer, his stern expression softening as he looked at the baby dragon. "May I?" he asked. Lena carefully adjusted the sling so Roberts could see Pip better. The baby's eyes opened. those golden orbs focusing on the commander's weathered face. Pip's mouth opened in what Lena was learning to recognize as a yawn, showing tiny fangs. Roberts extended one finger slowly. Pip's small head turned, sniffing at his hand. Then the baby's rough tongue licked his fingertip and Robert's face transformed. For just a moment he looked 20 years younger. "Hello, little one," he whispered. A loud commotion outside the conference room shattered the moment. Shouting, the sound of something heavy hitting a wall. Roberts was moving before Lena could react, his hand going to his sidearm. The door burst open. A group of aliens pushed inside, 6 of them from a species Lena didn't recognize. They had gray skin and 4 arms, and their faces were twisted with anger. "Where is the Drathic spawn?" their leader demanded. Robert stepped between them and Lena. "This is a restricted area. You need to leave now." "We have a right to be heard. The Drathic destroyed our world, murdered our children, and you protect their offspring. You humans are either fools or collaborators." Lena felt Pip tense against her chest. The baby's temperature was rising. "Commander, we need to leave." "You're not going anywhere," the alien leader said. "That creature dies today, justice for our people." Roberts drew his weapon. "Last warning, stand down." The aliens moved forward as one. Roberts fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The sound was deafening in the small space. Pip screamed, a sound that was part terror and part something else, something primal. Flames erupted from Pip's mouth, not a sneeze this time, but a genuine breath of fire. It wasn't large, maybe the size of a torch flame, but it was controlled, directed. The fire shot past Roberts and hit the floor directly in front of the advancing aliens. Everyone froze. Pip took a shuddering breath and released another small burst of flame, creating a barrier between the aliens and Lena. The baby was protecting her, or trying to. The aliens backed away, their anger replaced by fear. "See," one of them said, "it's already dangerous, already knows how to kill." "It's defending itself," Lena said, her voice shaking. "Defending me, that's instinct, not aggression." More security arrived, called by Robert's warning shot. They surrounded the aliens, and after a tense moment, the group was escorted away. Lena sagged against the wall, still holding Pip close. "That was a controlled flame," Roberts said quietly. "Not random, that baby knew exactly what it was doing." "It's 3 days old." "Exactly." Roberts holstered his weapon. "Dr. Cross, I need you to understand something. What you've accomplished here, bonding with this infant, it's remarkable, but it's also making Pip different, stronger, smarter. That's going to scare people." Lena looked down at Pip. The baby was calm now, looking up at her with those intelligent golden eyes. "I don't know what else to do. I can't just abandon Pip because people are afraid." "I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to be prepared because this isn't over." That night, Lena returned to her quarters with Pip. Someone had left a note on her door, simple words in crude writing. "The monster must die for our children." She crumpled the note and threw it away. Then she locked her door, checked all the seals, and climbed into bed with Pip curled against her chest. The baby made soft purring sounds, content and safe. Lena stroked the small head gently, feeling the smooth scales under her fingers. "I won't let anyone hurt you," she whispered. "I promise." Pip's response was to sneeze, a tiny burst of flame that singed Lena's already damaged blanket. But this time the baby looked almost apologetic, pressing closer as if saying sorry. Lena smiled despite everything. "We'll work on your aim, little one." Outside her window, the stars turned slowly. Somewhere out there, Galactic Command was receiving reports. Decisions were being made, forces were moving. But in this moment, in this small room, a human woman held an alien baby, and neither of them was alone. 5 days had passed since Pip's hatching, and the dragon baby had grown at a rate that surprised everyone. No longer the size of a house cat, Pip was now closer to a medium dog, with scales that had deepened from translucent to rich bronze. The baby's wings had developed enough to allow short, clumsy flights across Lena's quarters, usually ending in gentle crashes into furniture. Lena sat at her desk, trying to finish reports while Pip practiced. The baby would climb onto the bed, spread those small wings, and launch into the air with determination that outweighed actual skill. This time, Pip managed to glide almost 3 meters before tumbling onto a pile of pillows Lena had strategically placed. The dragon baby chirped triumphantly, as if the crash landing had been intentional. "Very good," Lena said, smiling. "Now try not to sneeze this time." As if in response, Pip's nose twitched. A small flame burst out, melting the corner of a data pad Lena had left on the nightstand. Pip looked at the damage, then at Lena, and made a sound that was definitely apologetic. "It's okay," Lena said. "We'll keep working on control." Her door chimed. "It's Carla, I brought the thing." Lena let her in. Over the past few days, Carla had become a regular visitor, always bringing some new gadget or modification to help with Pip's care. Today she carried a large metal device that looked like a combination between a heating element and a puzzle box. "Custom bottle warmer," Carla announced proudly. "Goes up to 300 degrees, should be perfect for Drathic metabolism." She set it on the desk, then noticed Pip on the bed. "Whoa, the little one's gotten big." Pip launched into flight again, this time successfully gliding across the room and landing directly in Carla's arms. The engineer laughed, surprised, as Pip nuzzled against her shoulder. "I think you've made a friend," Lena said. Carla scratched behind Pip's small horns, which had just started to emerge. "You know, half the station thinks you're crazy, but the other half we're taking bets on when Pip learns to actually fly. I've got 20 credits saying it happens in the next 2 days." "What does the winner get?" "Bragging rights and the knowledge that they helped make history." Carla gently set Pip down. "I'm serious, Doc. What you're doing here, it matters. I've been reading about human-alien bonding. This kind of connection, it's not supposed to be possible with species this different." Pip doesn't seem to care about supposed to be. A priority alert flashed on Lena's terminal. Commander Roberts' face appeared on the screen. "Dr. Cross, we have a situation. Inspector Wallace has arrived from Galactic Command. She's requesting immediate access to the Drathic infant for evaluation. I need you in conference room 1 in 10 minutes. Lena's stomach dropped. Understood. She looked at Carla. "Can you stay with Pip?" "Of course, we'll practice flying." Carla's smile was encouraging, but Lena could see the worry in her eyes. Conference room 1 was larger than the council chamber, designed for official visits. Inspector Wallace sat at the center of the table, a severe woman with silver hair and the kind of face that had forgotten how to smile decades ago. She wore a Galactic Command uniform with enough medals to suggest she'd seen her share of conflicts. Commander Roberts stood beside her, along with Yoshi and 2 officers Lena didn't recognize from Command's legal division. "Dr. Cross," Wallace said without preamble, "I've reviewed your reports. Fascinating reading, a human physician. With no xenobiological training, successfully bonding with a Drathic infant. Highly irregular. The baby needed care, I provided it. And in doing so, violated 17 separate regulations regarding quarantine, species interaction, and safety protocols." Wallace pulled up a holographic display showing a list of violations that seemed to scroll endlessly. "I could have you removed from service immediately." "Then why haven't you?" Wallace's expression shifted slightly, something that might have been respect flickering across her features. "Because the baby is alive. Thriving, in fact. Medical scans show neural development exceeding normal Drathic parameters by 40%. Physical growth accelerated. Most interesting, the infant shows signs of emotional bonding typically only seen in mammalian species." She pulled up images of Pip's brain scans. "This section here, it's developing in ways we've never seen in Drathic biology. Do you know what this suggests, Dr. Cross?" "That Pip is adapting to human contact. More than that, your presence, your care is fundamentally altering this creature's development. You're not just raising a Drathic infant, you're creating something new. Lena felt her hands go cold. What are you saying? I'm saying Galactic Command is very interested in your experiment, interested enough to allow it to continue, under supervision. Pip isn't an experiment. The baby is a living being who deserves care and protection. Agreed, which is why I'm assigning myself as official observer. I'll be staying on Outpost 7 for the next month to document the infant's development. Robert stepped forward. Inspector, with respect, this station isn't equipped for extended command presence. We're already operating at capacity. Then make room, Commander. This is non-negotiable. Wallace stood, her uniform crisp despite the long journey. I want to meet the infant now. They walked to Lena's quarters in tense silence. When the door opened, they found Carla sitting on the floor with Pip curled in her lap. The dragon baby was sleeping, making soft, snoring sounds that occasionally included tiny puffs of smoke. Wallace stopped in the doorway, her stern expression cracking for just a moment. It's smaller than I expected. Pip is only 5 days old, Lena said. As if hearing its name, Pip's eyes opened. The baby looked at the group of strangers, then scrambled out of Carla's lap and actually flew with controlled precision, straight to Lena. The dragon baby landed on her shoulder and wrapped its tail around her neck, chirping anxiously. It's okay, Lena soothed, stroking Pip's head. They're not going to hurt you. Wallace pulled out a medical scanner and approached slowly. May I? Lena nodded. Wallace ran the scanner over Pip, who watched her with suspicious golden eyes. When the inspector reached out to touch, Pip's mouth opened, showing fangs that were no longer quite so tiny. A warning, clear and unmistakable. Wallace withdrew her hand. Protective of you, interesting. Pip knows I'm safe. Everyone else is still uncertain. Then we'll need to change that. Wallace looked at Roberts. I want full access to all care records, feeding schedules, behavioral notes, everything, and I want to observe feeding time. Carla stood. I should go. Stay, Wallace said. I want to see how the infant interacts with multiple humans. The feeding was an education in itself. Lena prepared a nutrient mixture using Carla's custom warmer, heating it to temperatures that would have burned human skin. Pip ate eagerly, small flames occasionally escaping as the baby swallowed. Wallace watched everything with sharp eyes, making notes on her data pad. The infant breathes fire while eating. Is that normal? It's how Drathic regulate their internal temperature, Yoshi explained. The flames help process the high-heat nutrients. When Pip finished eating, the baby burped. A small fireball shot across the room, hitting Wallace's data pad directly. The device sparked and died. Pip looked mortified, if a dragon could look mortified. The baby flew to Wallace and gently buted her hand, making apologetic sounds. Wallace stared at her ruined equipment, then at Pip. And then, for the first time since arriving, she smiled. Well, that's the third device that baby has destroyed since hatching, according to reports. Perhaps we should issue flame-resistant equipment as standard. Pip chirped and nuzzled closer to Wallace's hand. May I hold it? The inspector asked. Lena hesitated, then nodded. Wallace awkwardly accepted Pip into her arms. The dragon baby settled immediately, purring. Remarkable, Wallace whispered. Absolutely remarkable. That night, after Wallace had left to settle into guest quarters, Lena lay in bed with Pip curled against her chest. The baby was tired from all the excitement, already drifting towards sleep. You won her over, Lena said softly, just like you've won over everyone else. Pip's response was a sleepy sneeze that barely produced a spark. The baby's eyes closed, and within moments, soft snores filled the room. Lena held Pip close and allowed herself to hope that maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. The alarm shrieked through Outpost 7 at 4 in the morning, yanking Lena from sleep. Pip jerked awake on her chest, wings flaring in panic. Emergency lights bathed the room in red. Lena grabbed her communicator. What's happening? Robert's voice came through, tight with tension. Atmospheric breach in Section C, life support compromised. Someone sabotaged the environmental controls. Get to the command center. Now. She bundled Pip into the fire-resistant sling and ran. The corridors were chaos, people rushing toward emergency stations, others evacuating affected sections. Pip pressed close against her chest, making frightened sounds. The command center was packed. Robert stood at the main console with Wallace and Yoshi, all staring at damage reports. Security officers hauled in 3 aliens, the same species that had threatened Pip days earlier. They admitted it, one officer said. Sabotage to prove Drathic presence endangers the station. Wallace's face was stone. 47 people are in Section C. If we can't seal the breach in the next 10 minutes, they'll suffocate. The sealing mechanisms won't respond, Yoshi said, frantically working the controls. They fried the backup systems too. Robert slammed his fist on the console. We need to evacuate Section C, but the emergency doors are locked down by the same sabotage. Pip suddenly squirmed in the sling, making urgent chirping sounds. The baby's nose was twitching, not preparing to sneeze but sniffing the air. Pip's head turned toward a ventilation shaft. "What is it?" Lena asked. Pip leaped from the sling before she could stop the baby. The dragon flew straight to the ventilation panel, scratching at it with small claws. The chirping became more insistent. "The baby senses something," Wallace said. "Dr. Cross, what is it doing?" Lena approached Pip. The dragon baby's eyes were fixed on the ventilation shaft, golden orbs dilated wide. Then she understood. Drathic had enhanced senses for air composition. Fire breathers needed to know where oxygen was. Pip can smell the breach. The baby knows where it is. Roberts pulled up a schematic. Section C has 17 potential breach points. We've been checking them all manually, if that baby can pinpoint the location. "Can you fit through the ventilation system to Section C?" Lena asked Pip. The dragon baby chirped affirmatively, as if understanding every word. Pip probably did. The neural development Yoshi had documented meant intelligence far beyond normal infant levels. "It's too dangerous," Wallace said. "We can't send a child into a compromised section." "Those are 47 lives," Lena said. "And Pip is the only one small enough to fit through the vents and smart enough to find the breach." She knelt beside Pip. "Can you do this? Can you find where the air is escaping and show us?" Pip nuzzled her hand, then flew to the ventilation panel. Small claws worked at the grate until it popped free. The baby looked back at Lena one more time, then disappeared into the dark shaft. The command center fell silent. They watched on monitors as Pip navigated the vent system, the baby's scales reflecting what little light existed. Pip moved with purpose, taking turns without hesitation, following the scent of escaping atmosphere. "The baby's heading straight for junction point 7, Yoshi said. "That's not one of the points we checked." They watched Pip emerge into Section C through a ceiling vent. The dragon baby dropped into the corridor and immediately flew toward a sealed bulkhead. Pip's nose pressed against a specific panel, and the baby began scratching at it, flames starting to gather in the small throat. "That's it," Roberts said. "That's the breach point. It's behind the wall panel." "We can't seal it remotely," Yoshi said. "Someone needs to manually weld it shut, but the tools are on the other side of the emergency doors." Lena watched Pip on the monitor. The baby was looking directly at the camera, waiting. "Pip can do it. Dragon fire is hot enough to melt metal if Pip can control the flame." "That baby is 5 days old," Wallace protested. "That baby has been learning control since hatching. Pip melted your data pad with precision. This is the same thing, just bigger." Roberts made the decision. "Dr. Cross, can you talk Pip through it?" Lena activated her communicator. "Pip, can you hear me?" A chirp came through, clear and bright. "I need you to use your fire on that panel. But carefully, a steady flame like when you're warming up, not a sneeze. Can you do that?" Another chirp, this one determined. They watched Pip take a deep breath. The baby's chest expanded, scales glowing slightly. Then Pip released fire, not a burst but a controlled stream, narrow and focused. The flame hit the panel where the breach was hidden. Metal began to glow, began to melt. Pip adjusted the angle, keeping the flame steady. The breach sealed molten metal fusing together. Atmosphere readings stabilized. Oxygen levels in Section C stopped dropping. It worked, Yoshi breathed. The baby did it. Pip's flame cut off. The dragon baby looked exhausted, swaying slightly. Lena's heart clenched. Pip, come back now. You did amazing, come home. But Pip didn't move. The baby had used too much energy. Lena could see it in the way Pip's wings drooped. She was running before conscious thought. Roberts shouted behind her, but she didn't stop. Through corridors, down emergency stairs, forcing open the Section C doors that were starting to respond again. She found Pip exactly where the monitors had shown, sitting on the floor looking small and tired. Lena scooped the baby up, and Pip immediately curled against her chest, purring weakly. "I've got you," Lena whispered. "You saved them, you saved everyone." Back in the command center, the rescued personnel from Section C were emerging, grateful and shaken. When they learned what had happened, how a Drathic baby had saved their lives, the station's atmosphere changed. The aliens who had sabotaged the systems were taken into custody. Wallace personally filed the charges, her expression grim. 3 days later, Wallace called a final meeting. The conference room was packed. Station personnel, refugees, representatives from every group aboard Outpost 7. Wallace stood at the center. "I came here to evaluate whether Dr. Cross's actions were in violation of galactic regulations. I have made my determination." Lena held Pip close, the baby now even larger but still fitting comfortably in her arms. Dr. Cross did violate regulations, multiple regulations, and in doing so she saved a life. Then that life saved 47 more. The Drathic infant, whom I understand is called Pip, has demonstrated intelligence, compassion, and heroism that puts many adults to shame. Wallace pulled out an official document. "I am recommending Outpost 7B, designated as the first multi-species family integration facility. Dr. Lena Cross is hereby recognized as legal guardian of Pip, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. Furthermore, the Drathic family will remain here under full protection." Applause erupted. Vel and Risha, both recovered from their injuries, approached Lena with tears in their eyes. Risha touched Pip gently. "In our culture, when someone saves a Drathic life, they are given a name, a true name." She looked at Lena. "You are Cathara Cross, guardian of flames, protector of our future." Vel produced a small pendant carved from what looked like volcanic glass. "For Pip, a symbol of our family, you are ours and we are yours, all of us." That night, Lena sat in her quarters with Pip. The baby was practicing flight again, now able to glide across the entire room with grace. Pip landed on her shoulder and nuzzled against her cheek. "You know what you did, don't you?" Lena asked. "You showed them that fear is a choice. That different doesn't mean dangerous." Pip chirped and promptly sneezed, a small flame that singed Lena's hair. "Still working on that control," Lena laughed. She looked out her window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, other Drathic children were hatching. Other species were meeting for the first time. Other barriers were waiting to be melted away. But here, in this small room, a human woman held a dragon baby, and both of them knew they had changed something fundamental. Not through force or regulations or fear. Through love, through the simple act of seeing a child who needed help and choosing to care. Pip sneezed again, and this time the flame formed a perfect ring in the air before dissipating. The baby looked proud. "Show off," Lena said fondly. Outside, Carla and Yoshi were installing a playground designed for dragon babies. Roberts had approved the modifications personally, even added some equipment from his own budget. The galaxy was vast and often cold, but small flames, carefully tended, could warm even the darkest spaces, And sometimes those flames came from the sneeze of a dragon baby who had melted not just equipment, but hearts, prejudices, walls between species, everything that needed melting. Pip curled up in Lena's lap and began to purr, scales warm against her skin. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new fears to face, new barriers to break. But tonight they were simply family, and that was enough.